Chapter 1. A New City. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled between rolling hills and green fields, lived a girl named Sally. Sally was 9 years old, with curly brown hair that bounced when she ran, and bright blue eyes that sparkled with curiosity. She lived in a cozy house with her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, and her best friend Max, a playful golden retriever who loved chasing squirrels in the park. Sally loved her town dearly. Every morning, she would wake up to the sound of birds chirping outside her window. She would race downstairs to find her mom making pancakes in the kitchen while her dad read the newspaper. After breakfast, Sally and Max would go on adventures in the park, where they would play fetch and explore the winding trails. But despite her love for her town, Sally always dreamed of exploring a big city. She had seen pictures of towering skyscrapers, bustling streets filled with people from all over the world, and bright lights that turned night into day. She often wondered what it would be like to visit a place where the buildings reached toward the sky and the sidewalks buzzed with excitement. One sunny morning, Sally's parents called her into the living room. They wore mysterious smiles that made Sally's heart race with excitement. "Sally," her dad began, "how would you like to go on an adventure?" Sally's eyes widened. "An adventure? Where are we going?" Her mom chuckled softly. "We're going to New York City." Sally couldn't believe her ears. New York City. The name alone sent shivers of excitement down her spine. She had read about the city in books and seen it on television. It was a place where dreams came true. A place filled with museums, parks, theaters, and endless possibilities. "When are we leaving?" Sally asked eagerly. "In 2 days," her dad replied. "We'll spend a whole week exploring the city together." Sally squealed with delight and hugged her parents tightly. She couldn't wait to tell Max about their upcoming adventure. She raced outside, where Max was chasing a butterfly in the garden. "Max, guess what?" Sally exclaimed, kneeling down to pet him. "We're going to New York City," Max barked happily, wagging his tail as if he understood every word. Sally laughed and hugged him again. "We're going to see skyscrapers and eat pizza and ride in taxis. It's going to be amazing." Over the next 2 days, Sally could hardly contain her excitement. She packed her favorite clothes, including her lucky red sneakers and a warm jacket in case it got chilly. She packed a notebook and colored pencils to draw pictures of all the things she would see. Max followed her around the house, sensing that something exciting was about to happen. Finally, the day arrived. Sally woke up early, her heart pounding with anticipation. She raced downstairs to find her parents already packing the car. Max sat patiently by the door, his tail thumping against the floor in excitement. "Are we ready to go?" Sally asked, bouncing on the balls of her feet. Her dad smiled and nodded. "Almost. Just a few more things to pack." Soon they were on the road, heading toward the highway that would take them to New York City. Sally pressed her face against the window, watching as the familiar landscape of her town gave way to open fields and distant mountains. She imagined the adventures that lay ahead: skyscrapers to climb, parks to explore, and museums to discover. As they approached the city, Sally's eyes grew wide with wonder. The skyline loomed in the distance, a forest of tall buildings that seemed to touch the clouds. The highway became crowded with cars, each one rushing toward its own destination in the bustling metropolis. "Look, Sally," her mom said, pointing out the window. "There's the Statue of Liberty." Sally gasped as she caught her first glimpse of the iconic statue standing proudly in the harbor. She had seen pictures of it in books, but seeing it in person was something else entirely. It felt like she was entering a whole new world, one filled with history, culture, and endless possibilities. Finally, they arrived at their hotel in the heart of Manhattan. The lobby was bustling with people speaking different languages and carrying suitcases adorned with stickers from around the world. Sally held her parents' hands tightly as they checked in and rode the elevator up to their room on the 10th floor. The room was cozy with 2 double beds and a view of the city skyline through large windows. Sally raced to the window and pressed her face against the glass, taking in the sights and sounds of the city below. Cars honked their horns, people hurried down the sidewalks, and lights twinkled in the buildings all around them. "We made it, Max," Sally whispered, kneeling down to pet her excited dog. "We're really here!" That night, Sally fell asleep dreaming of all the adventures that awaited her in the big city. She couldn't wait to explore Times Square, visit Central Park, and maybe even see a Broadway show. But most of all, she couldn't wait to spend time with her family, making memories that would last a lifetime. And so, Sally's adventure in New York City had begun, a journey filled with excitement, wonder, and the magic of discovering a whole new world. Chapter 2: Exploring Times Square. The next morning, Sally woke up early, her heart racing with excitement. Today was the day they would explore Times Square, the vibrant heart of New York City. She had heard so much about it from books, TV shows, and movies that she couldn't wait to see it for herself. After a hearty breakfast at a nearby diner, where Sally devoured fluffy pancakes drizzled with maple syrup, they set off for Times Square. The city streets were alive with activity as they walked, Max trotting happily beside them, his tail wagging at the new sights and smells. As they approached Times Square, Sally's eyes grew wide with wonder. Giant billboards flashed colorful advertisements high above them, casting a rainbow of lights onto the sidewalks below. The air buzzed with the energy of tourists and locals alike, all eager to experience the magic of this iconic place. "Wow!" Sally exclaimed, craning her neck to take in the towering buildings and flashing lights. "It's even more amazing than I imagined." Her parents smiled and exchanged amused glances. They knew how much Sally had been looking forward to this moment. Together, they navigated through the throngs of people, taking in the sights and sounds that surrounded them. Their first stop was the M&M's store, a colorful haven filled with every shade of chocolate candy imaginable. Sally's eyes widened as they entered, greeted by walls lined with tubes of M&Ms in every color of the rainbow. "I've never seen so many M&Ms," Sally exclaimed, picking up a bag and filling it with her favorite colors, blue and green. Max wagged his tail in excitement, sensing his family's joy. After exploring the store and picking out a few bags of candy to bring home as souvenirs, they continued their journey through Times Square. Street performers juggled bowling pins and danced to lively music, drawing crowds of onlookers who clapped and cheered. Sally joined in the applause, clapping along with a big smile on her face. She felt the rhythm of the city pulsing through her veins, the excitement, the energy, the sheer delight of being surrounded by so much life and activity. "Look, Mom! Dad!" Sally called out, pointing to a group of costumed characters posing for photos with tourists. "Can we take a picture with them?" Her parents chuckled and nodded, amused by Sally's eagerness. They joined the line and waited their turn, posing with characters dressed as superheroes and cartoon characters. Sally grinned from ear to ear as she stood between Spider-Man and Elmo, holding Max's leash as he sniffed curiously at their feet. As the afternoon sun began to dip behind the skyscrapers, Times Square transformed into a dazzling wonderland. Neon lights reflected off rain-slicked sidewalks, and the air hummed with excitement. Street vendors sold hot pretzels and roasted nuts, filling the air with mouth-watering aromas that made Sally's stomach growl. "Can we get a pretzel, Dad?" Sally asked, tugging on his sleeve. "Of course, sweetheart," her dad replied with a smile. "Let's find a vendor." They bought warm pretzels sprinkled with salt and shared them as they continued exploring Times Square. Sally licked her fingers happily, savoring the salty goodness and the thrill of being in such a lively place. As dusk settled over the city, Times Square lit up like a magical fairy tale. The billboards seemed to glow even brighter, casting a kaleidoscope of colors onto the crowded streets below. Sally felt like she was walking through a dream, one where anything was possible and every moment was filled with wonder. "I never want to leave," Sally whispered to her parents as they stood together, watching the lights dance around them. "We'll come back one day," her mom assured her, squeezing her hand gently. "But for now, let's enjoy every moment." And enjoy they did. They stayed until late into the evening, soaking in the sights and sounds of Times Square. Sally took pictures with her parents and Max, capturing memories that she knew she would treasure forever. As they finally made their way back to their hotel that night, Sally felt a sense of contentment wash over her. Exploring Times Square had been everything she had hoped for and more. She knew that this day would be one of her favorite memories of New York City, a day filled with excitement, laughter, and the magic of discovering a place that felt like home, even though it was far from her cozy town. Back in their hotel room, Sally couldn't stop talking about her favorite parts of the day. She hugged Max tightly, knowing that their adventure in New York City was just beginning. "Tomorrow," she whispered to him, "we'll explore Central Park. I can't wait to see what it's like." And so, with dreams of skyscrapers and city lights dancing in her head, Sally drifted off to sleep, eager for the adventures that lay ahead in the city that never sleeps. Chapter 3: The Central Park Adventure. The next morning dawned bright and clear over New York City, casting a golden glow over the bustling streets below. Sally woke up with a smile, excited for their next adventure, exploring Central Park. She had heard so much about this iconic green oasis nestled in the heart of Manhattan, and she couldn't wait to see it for herself. After a hearty breakfast at a cozy diner, where Sally savored fluffy pancakes topped with fresh berries, they set off for Central Park. Max trotted eagerly beside them, his tail wagging as he sniffed the new scents that filled the city air. As they approached the park, Sally's eyes widened with wonder. Lush green trees stretched toward the sky, their leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. Paths wound through manicured lawns and flower gardens, inviting visitors to explore every corner of this urban paradise. "It's so big," Sally exclaimed, taking in the vast expanse of Central Park. "How will we see everything?" Her dad chuckled and ruffled her hair affectionately. "Don't worry, Sally. We'll take our time and enjoy each part of the park." Their first stop was the Bethesda Terrace and Fountain, a grand, sweeping staircase that led down to a sunlit plaza beside a shimmering fountain. Sally gasped as they descended the steps, marveling at the intricate carvings and colorful mosaic tiles that adorned the terrace walls. "Look at all the statues," Sally exclaimed, pointing to the Angel of the Waters statue that stood proudly at the center of the fountain. "It's so beautiful." Her mom smiled and nodded. "Central Park is full of sculptures and art pieces. Each one tells a story." Sally took out her notebook and colored pencils, eager to capture the beauty of the fountain in her drawings. Max lay down beside her, his tail thumping against the ground as he watched her work. After exploring the terrace and taking plenty of photos, they continued their journey through Central Park. They strolled along the mall, a wide promenade lined with towering elm trees that formed a leafy canopy overhead. Street performers played music, artists painted landscapes, and families picnicked on blankets spread out on the grass. "I feel like we're in a movie," Sally whispered to her parents, taking in the picturesque scene around them. Her dad grinned. "Central Park has been featured in so many movies and TV shows. It's a favorite spot for filmmakers." As they walked, they passed by the Central Park Zoo, a small but charming zoo nestled within the park's boundaries. Sally pressed her face against the glass of the polar bear exhibit, watching in awe as the majestic bear swam gracefully in its icy pool. "Look, Max," Sally murmured, fascinated by the bear's powerful strokes through the water. "Isn't he amazing?" Max barked softly in agreement, his tail wagging as he watched the bear with equal curiosity. After exploring the zoo and visiting the sea lion exhibit, where Sally laughed at the playful antics of the sea lions, they stopped for a picnic lunch near the Great Lawn. Sally unwrapped a sandwich and fed bits of it to Max, who wagged his tail in appreciation. "I love Central Park," Sally said between bites of her sandwich. "There's so much to see and do." Her mom nodded, smiling warmly. "It's a special place for sure. People come from all over the world to experience its beauty." After lunch, they rented bicycles and rode along the park's winding paths, passing by Cleopatra's Needle, an ancient Egyptian obelisk that stood tall against the skyline. They pedaled past Bow Bridge, a graceful cast-iron bridge that arched over the lake, offering stunning views of the park's skyline and rowboats drifting lazily on the water below. Let's rent a rowboat, Sally suggested excitedly, pointing to the boathouse where colorful rowboats were docked along the shore. Her dad chuckled. Sure, let's give it a try. They rented a rowboat and set off onto the lake, with Sally and her dad taking turns rowing while her mom sat back and enjoyed the view. Max leaned over the side of the boat, sniffing the water and occasionally splashing his paws. This is so much fun, Sally exclaimed, feeling the thrill of being out on the water surrounded by the park's natural beauty. As the afternoon sun began to sink lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the park, they reluctantly returned the rowboat and continued their exploration of Central Park. They visited Strawberry Fields, a peaceful memorial to John Lennon, where visitors left flowers and tributes beneath the Imagine mosaic. Sally paused to read the messages written on the tiles, her heart touched by the words of love and peace that adorned the memorial. He was a great musician, Sally murmured, thinking of John Lennon's music that she had heard on her dad's old records. Her parents nodded silently, paying their respects to the legendary musician whose legacy continued to inspire people around the world. As evening approached, they made their way to Belvedere Castle, a medieval-inspired folly perched on a rocky outcrop overlooking the park. Sally climbed to the top of the castle's tower, where she gazed out over the park's sprawling landscape and the glittering city skyline beyond. "I can see everything from up here," Sally called down to her parents, waving from the turret where she stood. Her mom laughed softly. Central Park is like its own little world within the city. It's amazing how peaceful it feels, even with all the hustle and bustle around us. As the sky darkened and the park's lampposts flickered to life, they made their way back to their hotel, tired but happy from a day filled with adventure and discovery. Sally hugged Max tightly, feeling grateful for the opportunity to explore such a magical place with her family by her side. "I'll never forget today," Sally whispered to Max as they walked through the park's winding paths one last time. Back in their hotel room, Sally pulled out her notebook and colored pencils once more. She spent the evening sketching scenes from their day in Central Park, the Bethesda Terrace, the rowboat on the lake, and the view from Belvedere Castle. "I want to remember everything," Sally told her parents as she showed them her drawings. Her dad smiled proudly. "You captured the magic of Central Park beautifully, Sally." As she crawled into bed that night, exhausted but happy, Sally knew that their adventure in New York City was far from over. Tomorrow would bring new sights to see, new experiences to treasure, and more memories to create in the city that had stolen her heart. And so, with dreams of rowboats and green meadows dancing in her head, Sally drifted off to sleep, eager for the next chapter of their grand adventure in the city that never slept. Chapter 4: A Visit to the Museum. The morning sun peeked through the curtains of Sally's hotel room, casting a warm, golden light over the bed where she lay dreaming. Today was a special day. They were going to visit one of the most famous museums in the world, the American Museum of Natural History. Sally had read about its incredible exhibits and couldn't wait to see the giant dinosaur skeletons, the massive blue whale model, and the dazzling gems and minerals collection. She bounced out of bed, her excitement palpable. Today's the day, Max. We're going to the museum, she exclaimed, hugging her furry friend tightly. Max wagged his tail enthusiastically, sensing the adventure that awaited them. After a quick breakfast at a nearby cafe, where Sally enjoyed a plate of scrambled eggs and toast, they set off for the museum. The streets were bustling with people, and the city's energy was contagious. As they walked towards Central Park West, Sally's eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Look, Mom, Dad, it's the museum." Sally pointed excitedly as they approached the grand entrance of the American Museum of Natural History. The building was an architectural marvel with its majestic columns and the iconic blue whale skeleton hanging gracefully from the ceiling. "Welcome to the American Museum of Natural History," her dad said, smiling as they entered the museum's grand hall. The massive skeleton of a blue whale dominated the space, its size awe-inspiring and its presence humbling. Sally stood there for a moment, her mouth agape. "It's huge! It's even bigger than I imagined." Her mom laughed. "Yes, it's one of the largest animals to have ever lived on Earth." They purchased their tickets and began their exploration, starting with the Hall of Saurischian Dinosaurs. Sally's eyes widened as she walked into the exhibit, where towering skeletons of dinosaurs stood guard. The T-Rex was the most impressive, its massive skull and sharp teeth making Sally's heart race with excitement. "Look at that one, Dad." Sally pointed to the T-Rex. "It's so big and scary." Her dad knelt beside her, his eyes twinkling. "That's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, Sally. It lived millions of years ago and was one of the top predators of its time." Sally's fascination grew as she learned about the different dinosaurs, from the long-necked Brachiosaurus to the fierce Velociraptor. She listened intently as her dad explained how scientists discovered dinosaur fossils and pieced together their skeletons. "Did you know that some dinosaurs had feathers?" her mom added, pointing to a display of a feathered dinosaur. "Scientists believe that birds are related to dinosaurs." Sally was mesmerized. "Wow, so birds are like modern-day dinosaurs." "Exactly," her mom replied with a smile. "It's amazing to think about how life on Earth has evolved." Next, they moved on to the Hall of Ocean Life, where the massive blue whale model hung from the ceiling. Sally gazed up at it in awe, feeling like a tiny speck in the vast ocean of the past. The exhibit featured an array of marine life, from giant squids to prehistoric sharks. Sally was especially fascinated by the diorama of a deep-sea trench, where glowing fish and mysterious creatures swam in the darkness. "This is so cool," Sally exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. "I can't believe we're seeing these creatures up close." Her dad chuckled. "The ocean is full of mysteries, Sally. Scientists are still discovering new species even today." As they continued their journey through the museum, they entered the Hall of Minerals, where glittering gems and crystals dazzled under the spotlight. Sally's eyes sparkled as she looked at the collection of rare minerals, each one more beautiful than the last. She was particularly drawn to a giant amethyst geode, its deep purple crystals shimmering like a starry night sky. "Look at this, Mom. It's like a treasure chest from a fairy tale," Sally said, her voice filled with awe. Her mom nodded. Minerals are incredible, Sally. They come in all shapes and colors and have unique properties that make them valuable and fascinating. Sally spent a long time exploring the exhibit, touching the smooth surface of the crystals and imagining the ancient forces that had shaped them. She learned about the different types of minerals, from the sparkly diamonds to the vibrant turquoise. Max, who had been trotting along beside them, seemed equally captivated by the shiny objects, sniffing curiously at the display cases. As they left the Hall of Minerals, Sally's dad suggested they visit the Rose Center for Earth and Space. "It's one of the most exciting parts of the museum," he said with a grin. "Let's see the stars and planets." Sally's heart raced with excitement as they entered the planetarium. The dome-shaped ceiling was filled with a projection of the night sky, stars twinkling like tiny diamonds scattered across a vast dark canvas. Sally felt like she was floating in space, surrounded by the mysteries of the universe. "Wow, it's like we're really in space," Sally exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. The planetarium show began, and Sally was mesmerized by the stories of the stars and planets. She learned about the solar system, the life cycle of stars, and the vastness of the universe. The show took them on a journey through time and space, from the birth of the cosmos to the distant galaxies beyond. "Did you know that the universe is expanding?" her dad whispered to Sally, who was sitting on the edge of her seat, completely engrossed in the show. "No, I didn't. That's amazing," Sally replied, her eyes sparkling with excitement. When the show ended, they stepped out into the museum's halls, their minds brimming with new knowledge and wonder. They decided to explore the Hall of Human Origins next, where exhibits showcased the story of human evolution. Sally was fascinated by the life-size models of early humans, from the ancient Australopithecus to the early Homo sapiens. "Look at them, Mom. They look just like us, but from so long ago," Sally said, touching the display case with her fingers. Her mom nodded. "Yes, Sally. Humans have evolved over millions of years, and we're still learning about our past." They spent a long time in the hall, reading about the different stages of human evolution and marveling at the tools and artifacts that early humans used. Sally was particularly intrigued by the replica of a prehistoric cave painting, imagining the stories that ancient people told through their artwork. As the afternoon sun streamed through the museum's windows, they decided to take a break and enjoy a snack at the museum cafe. Sally sipped on a cool lemonade while her parents enjoyed coffee and pastries. Max lay comfortably beside them, his tail wagging lazily as he soaked in the warmth of the sun. "This has been the best day ever," Sally said, munching on a cookie. "I've learned so much and seen so many amazing things." Her dad smiled, ruffling her hair. "We're glad you're having a great time, Sally. The museum is a place of endless discovery, and there's always something new to learn." After their break, they made their way to the Hall of Biodiversity, where Sally was enthralled by the variety of life on Earth. The exhibit showcased everything from colorful insects to exotic animals, highlighting the incredible diversity of species that share our planet. Sally's favorite part was the butterfly display, where hundreds of vibrant butterflies fluttered freely around her, their wings shimmering in the sunlight. "Look at them, Dad. They're so beautiful," Sally exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. Her dad chuckled. "Butterflies are amazing creatures, Sally. They start as caterpillars and go through a transformation called metamorphosis before they become butterflies." Sally spent a long time watching the butterflies, her heart filled with joy. She marveled at their delicate wings and the way they danced through the air, painting the world with their colors. As the day drew to a close, they made their way to the museum's exit, their hearts full of memories and their minds buzzing with new knowledge. Sally clutched her sketchbook tightly, eager to capture the day's adventures in her drawings. "Thank you for bringing us here, Mom and Dad," Sally said, hugging them both tightly. "This has been the best day ever." Her mom hugged her back, her eyes filled with pride. "We're so glad you enjoyed it, Sally. The museum is a magical place, and we're happy we could share it with you." As they stepped out of the museum, the city lights twinkled in the distance, and the evening air was cool and refreshing. They walked hand in hand, the memories of their day at the museum filling their hearts with happiness. Back in their hotel room, Sally pulled out her sketchbook and began to draw. She sketched the blue whale, the dinosaur skeletons, the sparkling minerals, and the butterflies. Each drawing was a testament to the incredible journey she had taken through the American Museum of Natural History. "I'll never forget today," Sally whispered to Max as she finished her last sketch. "It was like a dream come true." Max barked softly, his eyes full of understanding. Sally knew that their adventure in New York City was far from over. Tomorrow promised new discoveries, new sights, and more unforgettable moments. She couldn't wait to see what the city had in store for them next. And so, with dreams of dinosaurs, stars, and butterflies dancing in her head, Sally drifted off to sleep, her heart filled with excitement for the adventures yet to come. The next morning, Sally woke up refreshed and eager to continue exploring New York City. The previous day's visit to the museum had ignited her curiosity even more, and she couldn't wait to see what new experiences awaited them. Max stretched lazily beside her, his tail thumping against the bed as he sensed her excitement. After a quick breakfast at their favorite cafe, where Sally devoured a stack of fluffy pancakes topped with whipped cream and fresh berries, they mapped out their plans for the day. Sally pulled out her notebook and colored pencils, ready to capture the city's magic in her sketches. "We should visit the Statue of Liberty today," Sally suggested eagerly, flipping through her notebook where she had already sketched the towering Lady Liberty from a postcard. Her dad nodded with a smile. "That sounds like a great idea. We'll take the ferry from Battery Park and get a close-up view of the statue." Excitedly, they made their way downtown towards Battery Park. Along the way, they passed by Wall Street, where towering skyscrapers loomed overhead and bustling crowds hurried past. Sally marveled at the architecture, imagining the busy lives of the people working in the heart of New York City's financial district. As they approached Battery Park, Sally spotted the ferry terminal bustling with tourists from all over the world. She clutched her sketchbook tightly, ready to capture every detail of their journey to the Statue of Liberty. The ferry ride was exhilarating, with the wind whipping through their hair and the skyline of Manhattan growing smaller in the distance. Sally stood at the railing, her eyes fixed on the iconic statue that loomed ahead, a symbol of freedom and hope. "There she is, Sally," her mom said softly, pointing to the Statue of Liberty standing tall against the backdrop of the New York harbor. "Isn't she magnificent?" Sally nodded, her heart swelling with pride. "She's even more beautiful up close." As the ferry docked on Liberty Island, they disembarked and joined the crowd of visitors making their way towards the statue. Sally marveled at the statue's colossal size, its coppery green hue gleaming in the sunlight. She gazed up at Lady Liberty's torch held high, symbolizing enlightenment and welcoming immigrants to America's shores. "I wonder what it was like for the immigrants who came here," Sally mused, imagining the countless families who had passed by the statue in hopes of a better life. Her dad nodded thoughtfully. "It must have been a moment filled with hope and dreams, just like it is for visitors today." They climbed the pedestal of the statue, marveling at the panoramic views of New York City and the harbor below. Sally sketched the skyline in her notebook, capturing the bustling cityscape and the sparkling waters dotted with sailboats and ferries. After exploring the statue and learning about its history at the museum inside the pedestal, they took the ferry back to Manhattan. Sally was quiet on the ride back, her mind full of thoughts about the people who had come to America seeking freedom and opportunity. Back on solid ground, they decided to explore the neighborhoods of Lower Manhattan. They wandered through Greenwich Village with its charming streets lined with brownstone buildings and quirky shops. Sally took pictures of colorful murals and street art, capturing the bohemian spirit of the neighborhood. "This feels like a movie set," Sally remarked, admiring the quaint cafes and jazz clubs that dotted the area. Her mom nodded, sipping on a cup of coffee from a cozy cafe they stumbled upon. Greenwich Village has a rich history of art and culture. It's one of the most vibrant neighborhoods in the city. They walked through Washington Square Park, where street performers entertained the crowd, and students lounged on the grass beneath the shade of towering trees. Sally sketched the iconic Washington Square Arch, a symbol of New York City's history and a popular gathering spot for locals and tourists alike. "Do you think artists like to sketch here too, Dad?" Sally asked, watching a painter capture the park's lively atmosphere on canvas. Her dad smiled. "I'm sure they do, Sally. There's inspiration everywhere you look in this city." They stopped for lunch at a neighborhood pizzeria, where they savored slices of New York-style pizza topped with gooey cheese and fresh tomatoes. Sally couldn't get enough of the city's famous pizza, savoring each bite as they talked about their favorite moments from their trip so far. As the afternoon sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the city streets, they made their way back to their hotel. Sally felt a sense of contentment as they walked, knowing that they had experienced so much in just a few days. "I can't believe how much we've seen and done," Sally said, looking up at the skyscrapers towering above them. "New York City is even more amazing than I imagined." Her mom nodded, squeezing her hand gently. It's a city that never sleeps, filled with endless possibilities and adventures waiting to be discovered. Back in their hotel room, Sally pulled out her sketchbook once more. She flipped through the pages, smiling as she looked at her drawings of the museum, the Statue of Liberty, and the bustling streets of Greenwich Village. Each sketch was a snapshot of their journey through the vibrant tapestry of New York City. "I'll never forget this trip," Sally whispered to Max, who lay beside her on the bed. Max barked softly, his tail wagging in agreement. Sally knew that their adventure in New York City had brought them closer together as a family. Tomorrow would bring new sights to see, new flavors to taste, and more memories to create in the city that had stolen her heart. And so, with dreams of art and pizza and city lights dancing in her head, Sally drifted off to sleep, her heart full of gratitude for the experiences that awaited her in the days to come. Chapter 5. Broadway Dreams. One evening, the excitement in Sally's heart was palpable as her family dressed up for a special night out on Broadway. They stepped into the Grand Theater nestled amidst the bustling streets of the theater district. Sally marveled at the opulence of the lobby, adorned with velvet curtains and sparkling chandeliers that cast a soft glow over the elegant decor. They took their seats in the plush red velvet chairs, Sally seated between her mom and dad, Max curled up at her feet as the theater buzzed with anticipation. The murmur of the audience hushed as the lights dimmed and the curtains rose, revealing a stage bathed in a soft glow. Music filled the air, a symphony of melodies that transported Sally into a world of wonder and imagination. The actors emerged, their voices soaring with emotion as they brought characters to life with each powerful note. Sally's eyes widened with delight as she watched the performers dance across the stage, their costumes a dazzling array of colors under the spotlight. Sally clapped and cheered with the rest of the audience, swept up in the magic of live theater. She felt a surge of inspiration, imagining herself one day on that very stage, singing and dancing with the same passion and grace as the actors who had captured her heart. During intermission, they strolled through the ornate corridors of the theater, buzzing with discussions about their favorite scenes and songs. Sally eagerly bought a souvenir program, flipping through its glossy pages adorned with behind-the-scenes photos and biographies of the talented cast. As the second act began, Sally leaned forward in her seat, captivated by the unfolding drama and spectacle. The theater echoed with laughter, tears, and thunderous applause as the story reached its crescendo. Sally held her breath during poignant moments and tapped her feet to upbeat numbers, completely immersed in the magic unfolding before her. After the final curtain call, Sally couldn't contain her excitement. She animatedly discussed her favorite songs and characters with her family, reliving each moment of the unforgettable performance. The melodies lingered in her mind, and she knew that this magical night on Broadway would forever hold a special place in her heart. Back in their hotel room, Sally pulled out her sketchbook, her fingers itching to capture the essence of the evening. She meticulously sketched scenes from the show, the actors' expressions frozen in time, the intricate details of their costumes, and the grandeur of the stage that had transported her to another world. As Sally put down her pencils and closed her sketchbook, a sense of gratitude washed over her. Tonight, she had experienced the transformative power of storytelling and performance. Inspired and filled with dreams, Sally drifted off to sleep, her heart brimming with the magic of Broadway and the promise of future adventures yet to come. Chapter 6. Making New Friends. Throughout their stay in New York City, Sally and her family explored playgrounds and parks where Sally met many other children. They played games like tag and hide and seek, their laughter echoing under the shadows of towering skyscrapers. Sally quickly learned that friendship could bloom anywhere, even in a city bustling with strangers from all over the world. One bright afternoon, they decided to treat themselves to ice cream cones from a colorful cart in Central Park. Sitting on a bench under the shade of a blossoming cherry tree, Sally shared her vanilla cone with Max, who happily licked his own scoop of dog-friendly ice cream. Around them, children of various ages and backgrounds gathered, drawn by the sweet scent of summer and the promise of cool treats. As they enjoyed their ice cream, the children began to chat. Sally listened intently as her new friends described their hometowns, places like Mumbai, Tokyo, and Rio de Janeiro. She marveled at their stories of bustling markets, ancient temples, and sandy beaches where the sun always shone. In turn, Sally shared tales of snowy winters and maple syrup festivals in her Canadian town, sparking smiles and questions about life in a place so different from their own. In the following days, their friendships blossomed amidst the city's vibrant backdrop. Sally and her friends explored Chinatown, weaving through narrow streets lined with colorful lanterns and bustling with the aromas of sizzling dumplings and sweet pastries. They ventured into Little Italy, where they devoured slices of cheesy pizza and practiced saying grazie, like true locals. Each day brought new adventures and shared discoveries. In Bryant Park, Sally and her friends sprawled on the green lawn, their laughter mingling with the melodies of street musicians. They played frisbee, shared secrets, and marveled at the skyscrapers towering above them like giants reaching for the clouds. Evenings were spent watching sunsets from the High Line, a park built on old train tracks that wound through the city's bustling neighborhoods. They marveled at the art installations, paused to take selfies against the backdrop of the Hudson River, and whispered dreams of future adventures yet to come. As their time in New York drew to a close, Sally realized how much she had learned from her new friends. They had taught her that kindness and laughter could bridge any gap, whether it was language, culture, or distance. On their final day together, they exchanged small gifts: a friendship bracelet, a seashell from Coney Island, and promises to stay in touch through letters and video calls. Sally hugged each of her friends tightly, promising to visit their countries someday and share more adventures together. They waved goodbye at the airport, surrounded by the buzz of travelers and the hum of departure boards. Sally held Max's leash a little tighter as they boarded the plane, her heart full of gratitude for the friendships she had found in the heart of a bustling city. As the plane soared into the sky, carrying Sally and her family back home, she stared out of the window at the twinkling lights of New York below. She knew that no matter where life took her, the memories of her time in the city, the laughter, the ice cream shared under cherry blossoms, and the bonds forged with friends from around the world would stay with her forever. Chapter 7. Saying Goodbye. After a week of amazing adventures in New York City, it was time for Sally and her family to leave. They packed their bags with souvenirs and memories. Max, their dog, sat comfortably in his travel crate. Sally felt happy and sad at the same time as they drove away from the city. She was sad to leave the bright lights and busy streets of New York behind, but she knew she would always remember the magic of New York in her heart. As they crossed the bridge out of the city, Sally quietly promised herself that she would come back to this place where dreams came true. They drove past famous places like the Empire State Building and Times Square. Sally looked out of the window and saw the city getting smaller and smaller. She thought about all the fun things they had done, like visiting Central Park and seeing the Statue of Liberty. The car was quiet, with only the sound of the tires on the road. Sally looked at her parents, who also seemed a little sad but happy too. Max, sensing their feelings, cuddled close to Sally, making her feel better. They drove across the Brooklyn Bridge with its big arches framing the skyline. Sally stared at the river below, remembering how peaceful it was in Central Park and how exciting it was in Chinatown. Leaving the city behind, Sally thought about the friends she had made. She remembered their laughter and the stories they shared under the tall buildings. She smiled, thinking about how they promised to stay friends forever, no matter how far apart they lived. As they drove further away, Sally watched as the city disappeared from view. Soon they were surrounded by hills and small towns. She held a seashell she had found on Coney Island, a reminder of the fun times they had at the beach. At dusk, they stopped at a cozy diner surrounded by tall trees. They ate warm apple pie and drank hot cocoa, talking about their favorite moments in New York, like walking through Greenwich Village and seeing the city lights from the Rockefeller Center. With every mile they drove, Sally felt a mix of happiness for the memories they made and excitement for what was ahead. New York had taught her to be curious about different cultures and to believe in her dreams. Even though they were leaving, Sally knew that New York would always be a part of her. At the airport, they said goodbye to the city they had grown to love. They passed through security and soon they were on the plane back home. Sally looked out of the window one last time at the twinkling lights of New York. She whispered to herself, promising to come back someday to the city that had filled her with wonder and joy.